For this video, I will be reviewing Dances with Wolves. This is Kevin Costner's epic. It swept the 1990 Academy Awards, winning Best Picture, of course, Best Director for Costner. A great film. This version I have right here, this is the extended director's cut, extended edition, special edition, what have you. I think this is the version that should be watched if you have the time for it, the patience for it. It is 4 hours. It's definitely a long experience. It's going to take up quite a bit of your day if you want to sit down and watch it. But I do think it is the definitive version of the film. Only because I do think a story like this, it does need time to unfold and develop. Because essentially, what's the curious thing about the movie, how it kind of captures your attention immediately from the first scenes, is that we are following a character, Costner's character, Lieutenant Dunbar. He's suicidal. He's a Civil War soldier. He does narrate the film, but he doesn't go into too much detail as to why he wanted to make that decision. But essentially, he tries to commit suicide pretty much just by running on the enemy lines, ends up assisting with the battle and winning it, and as recognition, he gets to choose any post he wants to be in command of, and he chooses the frontier near the Sioux tribe. This, of course, takes place in the Civil War. And crazy enough times. Civil War. America fighting against each other. In the meanwhile, these natives are getting, just demolished. Their tribes are being, brutalized in the midst of all this other insanity. And kind of what the story shows is it is kind of this, gentle and thoughtful kind of love story amongst, a story of understanding of this man and becoming not one of the soldiers, not Lieutenant Dunbar, but becoming Dances with Wolves, one amongst the tribe. And it does require time to unfold in a certain way, in a way that's believable, in a way that this isn't like like a Disney movie. It's not like Pocahontas. He can't understand everything through a musical number. So it has to be done with a certain type of authenticity. And what I think this movie does effectively, it doesn't quite. A movie like this, you could see this as, this movie had to be made, but it had to have this white man as the star, the main character, this wonderful figure who gets in good with the Indian tribe, and he teaches these savages to learn and love. No, it's the opposite. He's the savage. And it's what about he learns, and kind of the madness of the world at the time, and how he becomes one with the tribe, becomes Dances with Wolves, and he learns something about himself and about the world around him. And it is a moving story, and it is something that it does require the time of what a great epic should take. And there's definitely good battle scenes and very involving moments. Pretty much the best scenes of this movie, they're scenes of dialogue. When he falls in love with another white person who became part of the tribe, Stands with Fists, played by Mary McDonnell. Their love story is very good and very well developed, and again, it does take its time gradually, so you believe it. It's not like there's nothing Hollywood about this movie. It's not a meet cute where they're like, hey, we're hey, no, nothing like that. And the relationship between the tribe leader, Kicking Bird, played by Graham Greene, the great actor Graham Greene. If you're Canadian, you see him when you walk out the door. He's an icon, and this is possibly his greatest role, which he did receive an Oscar nomination for. He did not win, but it's pretty cool that he's an Oscar-nominated actor, as not just a native, but as a Canadian. So I think the acting in the film is superb. And just the way the story unfolds, and again, it's like a gentle way. It's a way that you almost feel like it could be real. This, of course, is a completely fictional account. This didn't happen. It'd be nice to think that something like this would and could happen in times like that, but it's not. So While it is a completely fictional work, I mean, it's as a film, it was adapted from a book, but more as a film. I mean, kind of what it did, um, maybe subconsciously on Costner's part, or maybe intentionally. It was kind of like a revival of the Western at the time, because nobody was making Westerns, nobody was seeing Westerns. You wouldn't see, um, last Western of this magnitude was the infamous failure by Michael Cimino, Heaven's Gate. And in fact, during production of Dances with Wolves, people were jokingly calling this Kevin's Gate, which is kind of funny. Hindsight's 2020. So I mean, definitely it works as a western, but in a very different kind of way because of its consideration and respect that it does show to the natives. Not that Kevin Costner should be like, I'm the representative of all the natives. I know exactly how they feel, what their plight is. No, I mean, it's not that, but it is as it is in the film, an outsider's perspective. And as kind of someone, as Costner is someone from that generation, from a very specific generation where, everybody would grow up watching, like John Wayne movies and, let's fight those savage redskins or something like that. It was a sensitive movie that made up for an obscenely insensitive genre, I think. Like, you don't see movies that are so thoughtfully constructed and considerate. So it is a kind of a beautiful epic in that sense. Of course, yeah, beautiful cinematography as well. And the thing is, this is Kevin Costner's debut film. So the fact that he comes off like a pro here, this is something any great director could have done. Richard Attenborough could have made this movie. Really, really impressive debut, and he has a keen filmmaker's eye. I don't think he's ever topped what he's done here, but it's a beautiful film. And in days like those back in the '90s, you couldn't digitally process a sunset or a landscape, and that they're out there and that they film that beautiful imagery. So that's something very special, I think. You actually feel it. You don't feel that disconnect that you'll feel with some other modern epics, in my opinion. And Costner, I mean, I know a lot of people say he's not the best actor in the world, and he's not. I mean, he wouldn't be my top favorite actor of all time, but he is great in this movie. And kind of what works with his character is he is somewhat introverted of a character. So, I mean, people will complain about him not emoting enough, or being kind of monotonous, sort of. And I think that's an unfair criticism, because that was more in tune with the character. Because we've seen other Costner movies where he's a lot more emotive than he is here. So I do believe that was intentional on his part. And regardless of that, even if you say someone else could have done this movie better, I don't think anybody could have directed this movie better than Costner did. So he won Best Director. The movie directing. Yeah, I think all things considered, all things being equal, Goodfellas should have won that year. Scorsese should have won Best Director. But I would pretty much say that for almost any movie. So there's that. But I think this is an excellent film. Very, very emotionally involving. Very, down to earth, understated. Even though it does have, the big moments and the dramatic score. John Barry's excellent score here. But there's a humanity to it that transcends north or south, white or native, and I think it's a beautiful film. So I think it's definitely something that I need to watch every year. If I can find 4 hours to watch it, it's well worth it, in my opinion. So thank you for watching.